Hi, I'm Marissa, MKissa Creations, and I am here to film a little Flosstube extra. As you can tell from the title, this is my plans video, and I've got a little Jingle Ball wrap up at the end, and I'm so happy you're here today. So my name is Marissa. I go by MKissa Creations here on Flosstube, which is a little corner of YouTube where we talk about cross stitch. And I also go by MKissa Creations on Instagram. If you are here today because I met you at the Jingle Ball and you're checking me out, thank you so much. It was so great meeting so many people. I will talk more about the Jingle Ball towards the end. But for now, let's talk about plans for 2026. So I started preparing for my whip parade, which will air on January 1st. And I was going through my whip list and really working on seeing what I wanted to accomplish in the next year. I have big dreams. I always have big dreams. In my whip parade, we will talk about which dreams from last year did not come to fruition, but we will talk a little bit about some of the ones that did and how I'm going to expand off of those for this coming year. So first things first, I am 2 projects away from my goal of touching every one of my whips from last year. And that was 30 whips. And 3 months ago, I realized I was only at 15. So I have been chugging away on really getting to a few more of my whips. I worked on 2 of them during the Jingle Ball, which I will show you in my Jingle Ball wrap-up portion. And I worked on 1 the week before that I will probably touch again, and so I have 2 more left. As I've mentioned previously, during Flossmas, I am not going to be filming every day, which you can tell I did not. There are plenty of amazing Flosstubers that are making videos every single day, and I commend you for that. I don't know that I could sit down in front of the camera every day. Part of that, I think, right now is that we're in the middle of interview season. I work in graduate medical education, and so we are interviewing our next set of doctors for next year. So I am in front of a camera for a couple hours doing that during the week, and I think it's a lot. I will say being in the thick of interview season definitely made Jingle Ball a little bit easier, but I digress. Okay, let's talk about plans. So I am stitching on a snow day project this year, and I'm going to continue that next year. This is my second oldest whip. That is why it is my snow day project. My oldest whip is Halloween centric, and I just don't see myself stitching on it as much and not being motivated to pick it up when there is snow on the ground and when we're feeling in a holiday or winter mood. But this piece I'm connected to all year long. Because we live coastally in Maine, I find that just the coastal life just sings in my heart. So my snow day piece is the shores of Hawk Run Hollow. So here's the bigger picture. I'm not really making any changes to this. I am stitching it. It's charted in MPI with a DMC conversion. I've changed a couple of the flosses, but not many. Like, I changed the color of the little crab in this one. But other than, oh, and actually I guess I have made changes. I didn't stitch the face on the sun. It didn't speak to me, so I just have a solid set on mine. This year I was able to complete the first page, which I had not completed before that, and then I completed the second page, and I'm working on my third right now. And so I have found to have a snow day project to be very successful here in Maine. Last year we didn't get as much snow, so I did change it to a precipitation day project at one point, and I still managed to get a good amount of stitches. I've stitched on it a little bit at the end of this year. It did snow last night, so I should probably put a couple of stitches in it today just to kind of check that box. I think we are going to get snow this afternoon, so it might be my afternoon evening stitch, but I will show you where this is at so that we can make sure we see some stitching in this video, even though it's a plans video. This is at the same place where it was when I showed it in my last Flosstube update, which was last Wednesday, but it is coming along, and you know, any work that I put in it is a little bit of work put in it, and it moves it forward, and that's the point of the snow day stitch. I don't have a set completion date for this. It is what it is. It's a really big project, and I have a lot of big projects, which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. But this one, I actually don't mind working on it for a long period of time. It is just something that brings me joy, and even though it's a lot of stitching and it is going to take a while, it doesn't bother me that it's not up on my wall yet, but I would like to continue to make progress on it. So in addition to the snow day stitching, I am going to make the goal for myself to touch every single one of my whips this year again. That way in my whip parade, I won't just be like, well, I hope I stitch on this one again. I will be stitching on all of them again. I absolutely love how it feels to have made that much progress. It is something that I absolutely love. Oh my gosh, I wonder if they're gonna stop if I turn the camera. I'm gonna show you the kitties. Look they're in their little tree. The window's a little glary, but they tend to share that basket pretty well, actually. They are brother and sister. I've talked about them a lot lately. They are super cute, and they do like to snuggle up in that top basket. I absolutely love that tree. The pole on it is like a natural wooden pole. I'll actually link it down in the comments. It'll be an Amazon affiliate link. Again, Amazon is what it is right now. I am not a huge fan of using it, but like I couldn't find this tree with the amount of reviews anywhere else. And I looked through a lot of different trees. I read a lot of different reviews. Hot tip, like there was another one that I was gonna get and it was cheaper. This one was like $150. It was easy to put together. The other ones that I looked at, the like past reviews had been great, but all of the most recent ones had been really not great, like missing pieces and things like that. So just kind of be aware. Sometimes those Amazon sellers, I don't know if it's truly a bait and switch or if they just get a different product after a certain amount of time. But just be wary of that. I think it's really important to do your homework. It's like kind of a buyer beware, I guess. And I feel like that is the crux of online shopping. Although I will say we picked up a cat tree at PetSmart when we first got the cats. It was like a cute little cactus and I absolutely loved it. But the top fell off of the base within like a week. And these cats they're kittens. They're not like being brutal on stuff. And it wasn't in a way that I could screw it back on. It just like everything bent and it was plasticky. There's not really any plastic in this. It's like a woven basket on the top and like real wooden branches on the bottom. And I absolutely just love how it looks in our house. It's not like a carpeted, we used to have, when we had our other cats, we had one of those like carpeted, like I call it a monstrosity, but I mean, they are what they are. Your kitties need their up high thing, and no shade to anyone that has a carpeted cat tree. Please don't do that. You're gonna knock my laptop over. Don't do that. Salem. Salem. Don't do that. Okay. Cat crisis averted. Okay, back to notes so I can actually focus on what I'm trying to tell you. All right, so I'm going to touch every whip again. I really enjoyed doing that. And I'm not necessarily like I need to whip down, but there's projects that I just want to get some projects off of my list so I can start new things and not get to the point where I feel overwhelmed. I'm at a pretty happy spot in my whip count. Let's see, I started this year with 30. I'm I think at 35 right now. So I'm pretty happy in this range. It's a doable amount when I say I want to touch all of my whips. But I have a bad habit of stitching a lot of really big, awesome projects or BAPs. So I made a list of all of my BAPs, which is 15, which is almost half of my list is really big projects. And I even left off like Fish and Ships, which is a long dog. And I feel like technically some people would consider it a BAP, but compared to the other long dogs I have in my wheelhouse, I don't, that one I don't include in there. So I'm gonna really quick just read that list, and I'll probably like flash up some photos of the finished, what those finished projects look like. I'm not gonna show where I am because we're gonna save that for the whip parade. And I am gonna show you the 2 projects that I would really like to finish next year. One of them has been on my like, I'm gonna finish this next year list for a really long time, and it's time. I was inspired by one of the people I met in speed dating, and she was like, I finished it, it's on my wall. I'm like, gosh, I gotta do that. I gotta get it up on the wall. So, my BAP projects are Shores of Hawkhorn Hollow by, and this is in the order of start date. So oldest first, right? Shores of Hawkhorn Hollow, Mirabilia's Sleeping Princess, Barbara Anna's All Creatures Great and Small, The Scarlet Letter, A Peacock, a Unicorn, a Badger, Heartstring Sampleries, Consider the Lilies, Minnie Whichway, which is a Haid, artwork by Molly Harrison. I'm going way too fast to be showing pictures. All right. Tiki Beach Sunset, artwork by Amy Stewart, which is also a Haid. One Nation, that is by Bygone Stitches. The Cryptid Sal, which is the Witchy Stitcher. The Sampler Book, which is Erica Michaels. Act of God, which is Long Dog Sampler. Quinto Acuto, which is a Long Dog Sampler. What Lies Beneath is artwork by, shoot. It's charted by Unconventional X-Stitch, and I don't have the artist off the top of my head. And then I also have Cauldron of Myrrh by Ivy, artwork by Ivy Dollamore, also charted by Unconventional X-Stitch. And then I will be starting the Haid 2026 Sal. So I'm gonna put up the collage of all the different pictures from the Haid Sal. There is still a tiny bit of time to sign up for this if you want to do it. I am doing, and then I'll put up what I'm doing. This is a reproduction of a painting. It is a little bit cropped from what the actual painting is, but without the crop there would be a lot more dark, just kind of muted areas that I don't think would be as fun to stitch. So I'm happy with what this crop is. So the deal with the Haid Sal is that if you finish one page, you're going to get a bonus Amy Stewart pattern. I mentioned that I was stitching Tiki Beach Sunset from Amy Stewart. I have a lot of her other charts on my wish list. I really like her artwork. I imagine, it's not released yet, that I will really love whatever she's putting out for this. It seems like it's going to be Stitcher centric from the kind of hints that they've been dropping, and I would be really sad if I missed out on that just because I didn't want to participate in the sale. On top of that, I really do enjoy this piece of artwork that I'm going to be stitching on, and there is another one that I'm interested in, which we'll kind of talk about in a second too. All right, so the two that I would really, really like to get finished, I'm going to show you this bag that I made. So it's not an amazing bag, but it's mine and I love it. When we got married in 2011, Pottery Barn was doing they still have, I think they still have a bunch of stuff. I just have not purchased sheets in a really long time, but they were doing like releases of the old Star Wars sheets, and so we got those as a engagement gift from my sisters, and we had those sheets on our bed for so long, and they eventually just died. But I repurposed them into a project bag. So this is one side of it, Darth and Boba Fett. And then the other side has, you know, the whole crew, the Rebel crew. We have Han and Leia and Luke and Chewie and R2 and C-3PO. So I just absolutely love this. And then I lined the inside with this like starry fabric. I made a couple other of these at one point, so they are floating around the Flosstube world. I think that Lollipop Stitches has a small bag with the Millennium Falcon on it, but I don't remember who has the other ones. I think I made one other big one and sold it on my Etsy shop, and then I made, I think, 2 of the smaller ones. So they exist somewhere out in the cross stitch world. But anyways, this is, my bags don't match my projects usually. This is where Heartstring Samplery Consider the Lilies lives. So this, if you're not familiar, is Heartstring Samplery's Consider the Lilies. This was a Market 2020 release, and I purchased it right away and started it in April of 2020. And I would really like to get this finished. I would like to get it framed. I would like to get it on my wall. I would like for it to be completed. I have quite a bit done. And I think that it's doable, and I've always thought that it's doable. But here's where it's at. So I only have one more corner of like the borders to get around, which the borders kind of, it's very repetitive, but I'm not a borders all at one time person. But I think at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna focus on getting this lower quadrant done and bringing the border up past the words. Mostly because this is like a huge checkpoint for me on if my border is gonna match up when I get all the way around. And I don't know, maybe once I do make sure that that's right, then I stitch the rest of the border, and then I feel like I would be really motivated to finish. But this is on my goal list for this year to finish. I would like to finish 2 of those big projects. So this is one of them, and I'm going to show you the other one that's on my goal list. I made a goal to finish 2 BAPs this coming year. And the other one is going to be the Witchy Stitchers Cryptid Sale. And some people might not consider that a BAP, but it's big. And I will put up a picture, I hope, of what that looks like when it's complete, because I don't have a cover photo. I stitched this one all digitally. But I only have 4, or I think I have 5 cryptids left to stitch on this. Which at one time I made let's see, what did I do? I did for one of my girlfriends, I think I did Bigfoot, which he's like in the final pattern, and then I did Mothman for a friend. I did them as little ornaments. So this is Mothman, and I did them as little ornaments, and so I did those in like a week. I think I stitched both of them and fully finished them. So I feel like I just need to sit down and do this one. And this is what we say over and over again ad nauseum. But it is, so those are my 2 big project goals. I am also making myself a goal to finish 5 of my other projects. I had 5 finishes so far this year. I don't know if I'm going to come up on any more, but so that's 7 finishes total, which would be an increase from this year's finishes, which I think is, it's always good to really aim higher. And so that's where I'm sitting with that goal. And really like where I want to be with my big projects. With getting stitches into other projects, and since I'm touching everything, I guess you really never know. Something could really sing to me this year, and that would move forward. Making goals for the whole year is so dangerous. And I have typically been once I say my goals out loud on a Flosstube video, they go out the window. I might as well like drop kicked a soccer ball across the street. Like, it is just not something that I used to tend to stick to. Now, I am so pumped finishing and touching the goal of touching all of my projects this year that I am going into 2026 highly motivated for more stitching and more projects getting done and more projects getting touched, and just really putting that progress in and making sure that I'm getting my stitchy time. Also focusing on myself a little bit more, making sure that I'm doing things for me, and stitching often is that. It is really like a time where I can sit down and touch all of my stuff. All right. I am also making myself some full coverage goals. If you've been watching me lately, I have recently started 2 new full coverage projects. I also have 2 standing full coverage, actually 3 technically if you count a peacock, a unicorn, a badger. So peacock, unicorn, a badger is a paper pattern, so I don't have as many measurements for it. But as far as full coverage goes, I would like to complete 10 page finishes next year. I am closing in on 5 for this year, and there are a couple of additional pages that could get finished. 5 full pages of full coverage. So the 2 that I started this year are unconventional X stitch, and those pages are smaller, so I will be motivated on those. I definitely want to get at least the 1 page finish in the skulls pattern for the Haid Sal this year. So that's a huge motivation. So right there, those are doable. And then a Tiki Beach Sunset has really been a focus. And then around Halloween time, I like to stitch my mini Which Way. I think I can do it. But 10 full coverage page finishes for the year are my goals. I also really was hoping, and we'll see if I can get to it with the new stitches, but I wanted to have all my full coverages at least 5% this year. 2 of them are over. 1 is at like 4+, and 1 I think is between 2 and 3%. So I would like to get those up above 5% this year, and my goal for next year is to have everything above 15% at the end of the year, unless it is a new full coverage start, in which case I would like for it to be at 5%. One other goal, and this one just recently popped up as Amy from 2 Cross Stitchers watched my most recent Flosstube video and said, I have the sampler book, maybe we should do a stitch along. So I think she and I are going to set a small goal of getting 4 pages done this year, or this coming year, and hopefully that is doable. I believe that it is, and it's a nice slow pace. So if you have the sampler book in your stash, or you have it as progress, let me know, and maybe we can get a little group chat going on Instagram so that we can keep each other motivated and check in on where we are at with our stitches and our sampler book. I have 1 page completed of that right now, so to finish out next year and have 5 of them done, I think would be pretty amazing. All right, let's talk about Jingle Ball. Jingle Ball was this last weekend, and it was my first Lindy Stitches online retreat that I attended. I had a really great time. Overall, the $15 price tag is definitely worth it. If you like the designers, it is worth it just for the freebies that they put out. So really, I'm just gonna kind of go over highlights, show you what I stitched during the Jingle Ball, and then we'll be all done for today. If you're not interested in Jingle Ball stuff, thank you so much for joining me for my plans portion of my video. I hope you have a fantastic stitchy week. I will see you next week for another regular Flosstube video where I will show my whips, and we will continue to look forward to whip parade season and my January 1st whip parade. All right, so Jingle Ball was fantastic. I signed on all 3 days. I watched the ballroom activities. I watched designer meet and greets. I joined stitching tables when the designers were hosting them. I joined some stitching tables later at night. I did whip speed dating. And we watched Santa. And oh my gosh, Santa was a full-blown highlight of the entire weekend. My girls and I snuggled up on the couch and just listened to him talk and tell us stories about the elves and the reindeer at the North Pole. And what a treat for everybody in our house. It was heartwarming and so magical, and I am just so glad that he was able to take the time to stop by to the Jingle Ball so that we could all spend some time with him and hear about the North Pole. Other highlights for me, I definitely, with the designer chats, those were so interesting. And the people, I mean, it just takes a village to do run these cross-stitch businesses, and you could just really see the heartwarming support of these families surrounding these amazing designers, and that just really warmed my heart. I absolutely loved to see it, and you know, it was awesome. My absolute favorite though was the Blue Flower. I loved her meet and greet. She and her husband were adorable. And then my other favorite was the Stacy Nash meet and greet. I have not stitched any animal crackers yet, but I have 2 of her patterns, and I am excited to move forward with those. Just watching her made me want to stitch them and start them. So that is, I guess that is in my plans too. The speed dating was super fun. I really had to like psych myself up for it, which like I could have just said, like I said earlier, I am in the middle of interview season. Like I've been interviewing doctors for a month and a half, and I don't know why. It was just so intimidating to click that button and say, I'm ready to talk. And every time I went in, I had a fantastic time, and it was great. I don't know why, like my brain just was like, this is so stressful. And then same with going into the stitchy rooms. I really had to like push myself to do that. And I think part of it is that I have a really good stitching community here in Maine, and everyone already knows my quirks, I guess. And so like to meet a whole new group of people and and share your real self sometimes it's just intimidating. But I had a fantastic time. I met some amazing people. I got to meet some people that I'm friends with like just on Instagram and chat with them in person and see them. Clover Hop Stitching was one of those people, which was amazing. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I ended up in the same stitchy room one evening, which was fantastic, although I was like at the end of my night and super pooped, and I was like in and out. I had my earbuds in and was like listening, but I was like doing other stuff around the house. I spent a lot of time like while I was cooking dinner and things like that, watching either meet and greets or the ballroom entertainment. So I was able to participate even though I was like busy doing other things around my house. One of the coolest things that happened during the Jingle Ball is that my kiddos got so motivated about stitching that they actually started patterns and are following them. I don't know if something finally just like clicked in their brain about how the patterns work. Obviously we've talked about it a lot, and I sat and really like helped them, you know, make their X's and showed them how to kind of stitch like one half of a row all the way and then come back and finish it. And it just was, it was so exciting. I really see the love of stitching. I heard my daughter last night making some noises in her room, my older daughter, and the little one was asleep, and I was like, oh, what is she doing? Because she stays up to read usually. And I walked up and she was stitching on her pattern, and the little noises were this, we have like a little Madeline, the story, a little tin, and she was like keeping stuff in it, and so I could hear her like opening it and shutting it because it's metal. And you guys, my stitchy mama heart just exploded. You know, I was going up there to be like, you need to go to sleep. And I walked up there and I was like, oh, hi. Okay, can you just make sure that you clean that up and make sure your needles are put away because of the kitties? I was like, please don't fall asleep doing this. Like, make sure you wrap it up, because sometimes she falls asleep with like a book in her hands and she leaves her light on. So I just wanted to make sure that that didn't happen. And I went up and checked later, and she had cleaned it all up and put it in its zipper bags and her little tin that she made herself. And it was just because I had been, you know, kind of stitching on and off all weekend, had the computer on. I mean, they're like, screens are on. They don't get a ton of screen time. And so they were just like, what's happening? Why do you have this on, and can I be a part of it? So I think they're ready to attend a Jingle Ball. We don't post them on the internet, like pictures of them, even for our family to see. Like, that is all done by sending stuff specifically to people. And so I think I was talking with my husband, and because it would be like a live interaction and I would be there, we've talked about them attending an online event with me and that being okay. So I'm hoping in the spring, for the spring mingle, they can come and join me for some stitching time. But that was just really exciting. Okay, I'm going to show you the two pieces that I worked on during the Jingle Ball. I worked on my Christmas list from Silver Creek Samplers, which I was like, oh, this is just words. It won't be a problem. It will be easy. So this is the pattern right here. And I had up to the sweaters, the woolen sweaters, completed when I started it. And I was like, words will be fine. I frogged so stinking much during the Jingle Ball on that first day. I don't know, maybe it was nerves, like I said. I just, it was, ugh. But I did get, in the first day and a half, Christmas blessings and flying reindeer, and I got the reindeer over its little house. There's a moon and a star, and I just could not find that floss color to save my stinking life. I'm pretty sure I have it around here somewhere. I also posted a picture on day 2. I went to go see if I could find it at my Michael's, and I posted in my reels, like, is it really Jingle Ball without a Michael's trip in the morning? And my Michael's was so threadbare. I don't know what's going on. So, Reese at the Crafty Grimalkin, I'm going to be placing a DMC order with you pretty soon, because I just can't get it here. Like, it's wild. And I actually spent a little bit of time, because somebody went through there and was like, I like this blue and this blue and this blue. No, I like these other blues, and just put them all into like one of the blues. So like, I spent a decent amount of time sorting their floss for them, because it was driving me crazy, because I was like, oh, they have that color. No, they don't. It's the wrong color. Anyways, also that affected my other Christmas stitch, which was Lizzie Kate's Christmas Rules. This one's not around as much because everyone else is stitching the Christmas rules from, oh gosh, Primrose Cottage. And they were at the Jingle Ball. They were fantastic too. That was such another fun, like, huge, like, family project. We're all together in this, like, just really supportive of each other and their whole enterprise, and just like, it was so good. It was so good. Anyways, I had to change colors on this one too, but I had been looking for additional colors. The DMC conversions for the greens in this was like not floating my boat. Like, I looked at them on the DMC like chart when I was like trying to figure out if I had anything that I could use instead. And so Michael's not having those was not insanely disappointing. So I changed them to 986 and 988. And I got rule done. So I need to fill in the middles of them, but I really want to get that S completed also before the end of this year, and before I fully put this one away and say I did my rotation. But that was like I feel like this is a really good chunk of stitching going on, and it felt motivating because this one had just not had all that much progress on it. It just had the word Christmas for like a whole year. So I guess if I can get one thing done each year, it'll get done eventually, right? That's what we talk, progress is progress. So that is what we're doing there. I did not buy much at the Jingle Ball. I bought one thing and it wasn't a Jingle Ball exclusive, so I'll put a picture of that here. It is E is for Evergreen from Heartstring Samplery. Oh, Beth Twist was amazing too, actually, now that I think about it. Her life that she lives is beautiful. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. She lives a beautiful life. I am not envious, but I look up to that. Like, it just is such a, I don't know, it looks lovely. So I bought E is for Evergreen. I, last year or the year before, stitched V is for Valentine from her, and so I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to pick that one up. And then I grabbed a couple of the freebies, but my absolute favorite, which I will highlight here, was the Blue Flowers, and it is the woodpecker with the candy cane. I absolutely loved that one as well. I don't know when that will get started, but I downloaded that one and put it in into Pattern Keeper so that I would have that one ready to go. Overall, successful Jingle Ball. Really, my stitching heart is happy. I will be attending more of them. Not necessarily just the Jingle Ball, but I would like to hopefully find time to fit in the Spring Mingle and the fall one that she does. And just really, I am motivated to get back to those and try to do a little bit more speed dating. But that was the other thing. The girls were around, so it was hard because if I sign on to speed dating, they're gonna be like hopping in the background, like, hi, what's going on? Beep, boop, bop. And I just didn't want, not everyone loves, tolerates the interruption of children. And when you only have 6 minutes, it was like, I wanted it to be quality and be about the other stitcher, and for them, if they had questions for me, for that to be there. So I didn't pop into as many of those sessions as I would have liked. And so I think if I would have gotten a little bit more practiced at that, it probably would have just been all day, every day. But again, those stitcher meet and greets, if you didn't watch them live, you didn't watch them. So like, I wasn't gonna go and pop into speed dating when there was a designer live on. Anyways, I had a great time. Jingle Ball was fantastic. It was very well run. I know Stephanie works really hard on it. It was amazing. Oh, the live jazz DJ that they had on before we saw Santa was absolutely fantastic too. Super knowledgeable about the music and the artists. Just a lot of information and really, really fantastic. I hope he's back again and again. I absolutely loved that. We have a lot of vinyl in our home, and so just that, again, that analog life that I've been talking about is making a comeback for a lot of us. It's always been there for a lot of us, but I thought it was fantastic. Anyways, this is probably long enough, and there are plenty of videos to watch out there. So I appreciate you spending some time with me. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week for a regular Flosstube update. Bye.